So welcome back to the second day of the Artist Thrive Summit. If you happen to be joining us for the first time, welcome for the first day of the summit for you. My name is Heather Pontonio. I am with the Emily Hall Tremaine Foundation and am jumping us off today with actually a few housekeeping items before we turn it over to Mitzi for leading us in this opening session. If you haven't checked out the lobby feed, that's where you're going to find a lot of this information. So especially if you're new joining us for the first time, please take a look. We have our online participation agreements there. It's towards the beginning of the feed at the bottom. There is also now the leaderboard gamification rules, and note that the top 10 received our keynote speaker tomorrow's book, Creative Trespassing by Tani Katan. There is also a schedule grid in that lobby area that may help you figure out what sessions are happening when and better navigate your time at the summit. That's in the feed. Also, our featured drinks and mocktails, compliments of Foothills Brewery in Winston-Salem for you to make before the fun and networking tonight. And then also, if some of you are having problems with the Chrome connection and Chrome sound, there is a fix that we found that worked for one of the attendees that's in the feed, so give that a try. But just like you're discovering for this, every session has a direct link to the Zoom session throughout the entire summit, so you're able to do that. For today's keynote session, Emily Moses and I are serving as your moderators. This keynote is Racial Justice, Making It Personal with Mitzi Sinnott. We invite you to turn on your camera as you are comfortable and able to join in. You're welcome to turn it off during the listening times, but during Q&A and conversation, we invite you to turn that on. Also, to minimize background noise, we ask that you stay on mute when you're not talking. And if you'd like to ask a question inside that participants tab, you can find the raised hand feature, or you can always chat it and we can read it out on the call. So with that, I'm pleased to turn this over to Mitzi. Take us away.
So welcome everyone to Racial Justice, Making It Personal. So as some of you heard it, what I was already saying, intense, crazy times that we're living in. The last few days, I have to be honest, my heart has been so heavy and my hands have just been full, completely full, and my mind racing with like, what to do, who to do it with, where to go, and do it right now. I mean, Friday night, when I watched one of our elected officials, Attica Scott, being arrested in downtown Louisville as she was walking to the church, which was a designated spot. I know her family. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I was filled with absolute rage. And I finally, it was a vigil for Breonna's family. And so after watching that, I just finally broke down into tears. Tears of rage, tears of sorrow, and then finally, tears of power. So we know that, and I just want to start with, can we check in, please, y'all? I'd like to hear from you in the chat, if you will. How are you doing right now? What's true for you right now? If you don't mind to just share that in the chat. Yes, helpless, power. And keep putting them in there, please. Sad and grateful. Fear, terrified. So me too. The last 7 years I've been doing this work, creating space for us to creatively explore our stories and to see where and how we all became so disconnected. Who was responsible? How did we disconnect? All my hope was that doing the work would help us wake up more, help some of us completely wake up. But I gotta be honest again, in the last month, I just said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care. It ain't worth nothing. It ain't changed nothing. Forget it. I ain't doing it. I don't want to do it. I know it's a very self-centered perspective. And there are so many people that are doing the work and have been doing the work. And this is what it's going to take for all of us to keep doing the work. But you know what? Anytime artists thrive, and Michelle Napick and Heather Pontonio, when they ask me to show up and hold space with them that allows us to connect more with our humanity, I will always say yes. Yes. Because y'all were a godsend to me when you came to Kentucky 4 years ago. So this afternoon, I am coming to you here today from the Ohio River Valley, Eastern Kentucky, and West Virginia's over there, Kentucky's right there. They are all just within less than a minute from each other where I live. And this is also the land of the Shawnee here in Southern Ohio, Tecumseh, if you've heard his story. We're supposed to be some of the fiercest, meanest warriors. So my grandmother, my mother's grandmother is actually Shawnee. My father, African and Cherokee, who came here to Huntington, West Virginia down there from Virginia, North Carolina, as well as did Carter G. Woodson's family, the father of Black history, spent a significant amount of time right here in the Ohio River Valley. So there's something about this place. They came because they were finding work in the coal mines. And so my ancestry is tightly woven with who we are right now and who we've been. So I'd like to also hear, whose land are you standing on today? What Indigenous people are you standing? Are you able to stand and be here today? Can you please also, I saw so many nations represented yesterday. Please honor them by typing their, the name of these nations in the chat. Today is also in Canada, Orange Shirt Day, to bring awareness to the Indigenous children that were taken off their homelands into the, oh gosh, I've lost the word already, to the schools where they would be stripped of their culture and their hair, settlement schools. So today in Canada, they are honoring all those young people who lost their culture, and that their children, great-grandchildren, are now left to untie that legacy. Yes, thank you. America, yeah, America. Some insane things we got going on, and it's escalating now. How in 2020 is this really happening? Violence and racist motive, terrorist attack at large, hate crime after hate crime, tumultuous to say the least. Really, it's insane. I remember hearing Mab Segrest speak. She and I used to be in the same agency. She wrote the book Memoir of a Race Traitor. I don't know if anybody has seen or read that book. And one time I heard her speak and she said, racism is a struggle over reality. Let me say that again. Racism is a struggle over reality. So then the question is, y'all, how can we be insanity with each other? How do we find true balance with each other? How do we live more humanely, more equitably among one another, regardless of ethnicity, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, or spiritual and religious practice, and whether you practice none? I mean, I look to Mother Nature all around me, here especially. I was raised in this, and she is a great role model. I mean, she knows that an ecosystem or a biome is healthiest when there's this variety, diversity of species, all interconnected, intertwined, making that web of life. She knows that diversity is ideal. It is the strength of the planet. But we haven't always been taught that in regards to our interpersonal relationships. The dominant class culture has not even given acknowledgement or acknowledged in general, period, the many contributions that each of us have made to this society. So who assigns value to who we are? I had to look personally because it seemed vital for me to start there. When I think about dismantling racism, looking at the impact of race, class, and violence and war on my own family. And when I began to realize the gaping hole that it left within me, and that it was now my responsibility to mend it back together, sifting through that legacy has been some of the most challenging work of my life, but yet it's been some of the most rewarding of my life so far. And I didn't know that my desire to fix myself or mend myself would turn into 10 years of me seeking justice for my family and my family system. So I thank you today for being here with me as I'm choosing to hold space, to be in relationship with one part of myself, sharing my story. And to me, dismantling racism is going to happen for everybody at a different rate because it is very personal. How you are doing this at different rates. And then simultaneously, we're working to change racist policy and practice in our communities and organizations. And so for me, the only way I could think to get at this is to use art and heart-centered reflection to exemplify the impact of racism. So I offer my contribution to this collective conscious today, as always. Y'all ready to do this? Let's see what we can do through these interwaves of the internet. So there was a time in my life when I became aware that my past and my present was consumed by my past, and I just couldn't move forward. My future was frozen, and I was feeling very stuck. And I remember I felt like I had hit a brick wall. It was like I couldn't move forward. And I was in a very bad relationship. I moved to New York City to become a performing artist, but I just couldn't move forward. And I knew that I had to start here. New York City, 2 towers, 2 planes, my boyfriend's words, explosive mind games. Creativity dormant, no performing, war oncoming, anti-war rally. We say no to war. Remember Vietnam derailed my family, derailed by those systems and individuals. My life is not mine. I can't breathe. For the first time, I started seeing a counselor. His question that cracked my whole being, my whole self wide open, he said, "What about your dad?" I said, "My father." I don't call him my dad. He's a Vietnam vet. Nobody's seen him in over 26 years. It's just been me and my mom, and she held it down. So don't ask me about my dad, all right? But of course he did, because that's his job. And I knew what he was saying, that I had to get back, look back into my story and get a stronger sense of it in order to understand it on a deeper level, because my future depended on it.
Mitzi, come here. Mommy wants to show you something. Yeah, it's a big red book. Let's open it. Careful. Pictures. That's Daddy. He loves you very much. My mom, she made this photo album of my dad when I was a little girl. And it's got these pictures of him before, during, and after the Vietnam War. Now, they're mainly photos that my dad sent back from his time spent in Vietnam. And when I was about 9 or 10 years old, I just remember looking at them and looking at them, staring at them, wondering, what does your voice sound like? I'm Lorenzo, I'm your daddy. I'm Lorenzo, I'm your daddy. I'm Lorenzo, I'm your daddy. I bet you walk like this. You look nice. Do you miss us? Who are all these men? It's hot as hell up in here. Cecil, what are you doing over there, man? Damn. I need a smoke. You got some squares? Good. Give me 5, because you owe me 3. Can't wait to get out of here. Nah, man, I'm not going to be quiet. I want out of this damn jungle. When I get home, I'm going to eat me one of my mama's Sunday hams. Yeah, I'm going to eat some ham, some greens, some of my woman Lucille's homemade rolls. Nice and hot and buttery. I can feel that in my mouth right now.
You shut the hell up talking about Lucille.
Boy, you better stop dreaming. Your black ass just got here. Now you gotta make it through 5 more months. Crying for your mama ain't gonna get you no Medal of Honor. Please, man. Ain't nobody trying to give no Negroes no Medal of Honor. This is a white man's game. Since we sitting here, let me take a minute to explain the objective of the game to you, see?
It's all about profit and conquering for power. Question. How many of y'all really believe going out here every day, killing the Viet Cong is advancing democracy in the world? Okay, you believe that, then you a damn fool, man. Only the white boys over here are looking forward to the kill. Hell, every day I go out there, man, I'm trying to avoid them son of a bitches. Ain't no search or destroy. I'm trying to search and avoid so my Negro ass can stay alive. Please, man, don't nobody care about us and the stuff we gotta go through. In our own damn country that our ancestors slaved to build, we get no respect. Now we over here dropping bombs, man, on another people of color. We ain't doing nothing but helping the white slave master continue his domination on all the poor people of color in the world. Man, you need to be quiet talking that Medal of Honor stuff. And brother, what you need to do is start seeing yourself as a black man, because it is time to stand up against the power of the white man. Black power, black power, black power.
You will never be accepted into the mainstream of American life. You will never get equality in America from the white man. You will never get justice in America from the white man. You will never get freedom in America from the white man.
All right, Private Johnson. Now, we heard you. You said your piece. You spoke the truth. But I want to know about Lucille. Ha! I've been good to you, baby. Please don't leave me alone. Now, Lucille, you done said she's sweet as Georgia's peaches, talking about them homemade rolls you said she got. Now, you say she's fine. Finer than any one of our women. But now Lorenzo over here said he got him a fine woman. Lorenzo, let's see. Woo-wee! You got you a foxy white woman. And dig this one, y'all. Man, it looks like she's about to pop. Well, right on, my fearless black brother with your pregnant white woman. I know her old man was about to tie your ass on a tree when he found out. When she having that thing? She's due in 3 weeks. Her family just found out about a month ago. I'm not gonna be there when my baby comes into the world. I can really dig what you're saying. Every day I'm here, I can just feel my mind getting blacker. Now, I don't know if you can really dig where I'm coming from, but I want this baby to be proud of me because I know who I am and where I come from. Man, it's all a trip. Nah, we haven't decided on a name yet. I told Yvonne if it's a boy, name him Fredrell. Now, y'all keep saying if it's a girl and she's gonna be foxy, name her Carmen. Oh, shoot. Here comes that son of a bitch lieutenant again. Damn.
So those young men were redefining their blackness, struggling with fighting for a country that they didn't believe really supported them. My father, Lorenzo, he was Appalachian and Negro, a double whammy of a label. Because back then, West Virginia and Eastern Kentucky had some of the highest rates of young men drafted to fight in the war in Vietnam. The resounding effects of racism, class, and war. So now I'm a woman doing my best to deal with deep-rooted issues of abandonment and rejection. And as you heard in that scene, those young men wanted to be there for their family. I mean, my father, he thought a lot about his baby to come. He was intensely trying to maintain a sense of pride in himself and understanding and dealing with the labels of Black or Negro, foreigner in another land, poor people of color. But his war assignments eventually took a toll on him. He suffered physical injuries, and he had complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. And back then, they weren't calling it that. He eventually progressed into schizophrenia. His labels were the right concoction to get him a round trip ticket to Vietnam, baby. And for me, it meant that I would never have a father sitting with me at with my mother and I at the dinner table ever, leaving me feeling very alone and isolated. And so not having him at the dinner table also meant that my trailblazing, fighting Irish mother was the one who was going to have to help me understand why the kids at my new school were giving me such a hard time.
I remember this one day, me and one of the pictures on the shrine had a very serious moment. See, on the shrine, there's also this picture of me and my mom and dad in Hawaii on the most beautiful day. And we're there, and I'm a chubby, naked, round-faced baby. My dad's in his swim shorts, full afro, medallion, and cane. And my mom, she's hot, she's beautiful in her sexy two-piece bikini. This looks like the happiest moment of our lives. Just the three of us there on the beach, smiling and beautiful, my chocolate and vanilla and butterscotch family. I'm butterscotch, but now butterscotch, and 13, and my first year in public school. I had always gone to the same Irish Catholic school as my grandfather and his brothers and sisters. But in junior high, I figured it would probably be better for me to go to the public school. Now, within a few weeks, I had a lot of new friends, and some who didn't want to be my friend. Hey, where's the new girl from? From here, stupid. No, like, where does she live? Who cares? She's really nice. No, she ain't. Listen, she is my dance teacher's daughter. You know Miss Yvonne DeKay, the lady with the dance studio down on South 3rd Street? Okay, good. Well, Miss Yvonne, she taught me and my sister baton twirling and acrobats, and, no, she's an only child. Who's her dad? I don't know. Listen, she is tan because she is part Hawaiian. That's Miss Yvonne DeKay's daughter, all right. Who does she think she is? So what if you took dance from her mom when you were little? You don't now, so shut up. Well, she thinks she's cute hanging out with all them white kids. This is where it all started. Our house was in the part of town my mom used to say was the middle of the tracks. She wanted me to live in the middle of the black and the white community. Whatever, Mom. All I know is it was a long bus ride home from school. Hey, are you guys ready for the test tomorrow? I got a study sheet from Miss Sheridan. Ow! Somebody just threw something at me. Don't turn around. It's probably P-Shot and his posse of 8th grade girls. Just keep looking forward. P-Shot? Who is P-Shot? Be quiet. I don't want to get him fired up today. Are you talking about Rodney Coleman? Oh my God, he just heard you. Now they are coming over here. God. Hi, Rodney. No, we were not talking about you. Mitzi, I can't wait on you today. I got to get off at my stop. Bye. I hear growling behind me and saliva dripping from teeth. P-Shot and his whole daggone crew now get off with me at my stop. Misty! 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 I know you hear me. Now, we heard what you've been telling people at school. Now, my mama knows your mama, and everybody knows Miss Yvonne DeKay was married to a black man. Now, you got your nerve telling all the white kids at school, you Hawaiian. Oh, yeah, y'all, she told people she was Hawaiian. Now, you need to quit fronting, okay, because you a nigga just like the rest of us. So, nigga, shut up, you ass. I never told anybody I was Hawaiian. I know who I am. I know who I am. You know what? You're the nigger. Oh, man. I hightailed it back to my house and I ran straight into my living room and I grabbed that picture of me and my mom and dad from Hawaii and I threw it across the room. And then I cried and cried. And then I went and I got a piece of paper and a pencil and I wrote, "Dear Mom, I can't take this anymore. Everywhere I go, kids make fun of me and hurt my feelings. I left St. Lawrence because I was afraid the white boys would never see me as more than a half nigger. I probably never had a date. I probably had to go to prom by myself. And now at my new school, a lot of the black kids think I'm trying to be all white. They pick a fight with me every day. It's not fair. Why can't I be me? I'm black and I'm white and I'm part Indian. You and my dad were only thinking of yourselves when you made me. You never ever thought what it would be like for me. All that peace and love stuff was a bunch of bull crap. It didn't work. I hate my dad. He left me here to deal with this all by myself. If he were here, it would be easier. I'm sorry, Mom. I know you tried to give me everything, and I'm probably really letting you down, but I gotta leave here. I don't know yet how I'm gonna kill myself, but by the time you find me, I'll be gone. I love you more than you know, Mitzi." So I folded the letter up and I put it in the foyer in front of the door so my mom would see it first thing when she got home that evening. Then I went upstairs into my room, into my closet, and I hid there until she got home that night. Mitzi, get out of the closet.
So my mom let me cry a little bit. She listened to me, but then she eventually told me that I had to toughen up and get over it. But it was very serious to me at that time, as you hear. As a preteen, I struggled with my community about my so-called racial identity. Not because I wasn't clear that I was mixed race, but when I left the comfort of my home or my mom's dance studio, then everybody had this need to label me Hawaiian, half white, half black, half nigger, whatever. I just wanted to fit in. You know, I left one school thinking it would be better than only to arrive and be bullied, and they didn't call it bullying back then, by black girls because I was acting too white. Hell, I just left the white people because I wanted to be more accepted. I thought it would be better at the public school and then with other black kids. And then I hoped that I would find my Mecca. Not. So then what happens if being accepted by your tribe or your community, it only looks like X, but then you're not X? Eventually that leads to intense self-rejection. And then where does that lead to finally? Contemplating suicide. So back to New York City at that time and present moment, and part of freeing myself of my stuckness and piecing my life together meant that I had to go out and find my father. I wanted to see that man. If he was on the planet, I knew that I would do whatever it would take to find him. So I set off on a trip by myself from New York to Hawaii because they thought he might be there. And with the help of the black vets of social justice in Brooklyn, I had addresses and I hit the streets and the beaches seeking him until I finally did find him. It took me 2 trips. And when I saw him face to face and how his life had been destroyed and no one seemed to care or even know, that was a really tough reality to digest. Knowing how his life had been destroyed and my mother's, the impact that that had. And so that day when I finally saw him, I vowed to myself and to God and to the world that I would do everything that I could to tell the world that he existed and give his voice a platform as much as I could, and myself, and tell the world about the devastation that soldiers and their families are presently experiencing now. And so in order for me to be respectful of time, there's much more to this story, and it's been airing on PBS stations for the last 4 years. But I think it's more important for us to connect more in small group. What we're going to do, and I would really appreciate, because I feel like, you know, we keep talking about like, be careful how you talk about this stuff, be careful how you do this. And I'm gonna say, we already passed that. And I think it's really important for us to partner up our trio right now. And I would be ever grateful if we could, if you will stay on for these next few minutes. And we're gonna break you out into 2s or 3s, depending on how our Zoom goes. And what I would like for you to consider and answer and introduce yourself to each other, of course, at this time. I'm gonna see if this will come up. In the breakout, could you please, with each other kindly, respectfully, bravely, consider, when were you first made aware of race? And so we're going to break you up and share that time. It'll be about 10 minutes. And if you could think of that time, that recollection of that moment, whenever it was, maybe it wasn't young. So if Emily, if you can go ahead and do that, I appreciate that. And we will come back in the last few minutes and close out together. Here's what I'm going to say as people are coming back. So some of you heard already, I apologize. Again, I believe every crack we take at dismantling racism is a good crack, a good effort in my mind, or my heart, or my thoughts. So whether we really had enough time to really dissect, we did not, and share thoroughly, we did not, but I wanted to at least try. So, you know, I've done this work where we have time with audiences, and what I find is starting somewhere with art, whether it's a visual art piece, a performance art piece, a poem, a theater piece, where people can honestly express what racism, homophobia, sexism, those stories, how they feel on people, and let the audience absorb that. Then you can get to some of these tough issues, and then you can get to strategizing, and then you can get to solving policy problems. And people tend to commit to this work in community, even when we start this way. So I would love in these last few minutes, if anybody would like to share in the regard that with your partner, some interesting, not sharing their story, but anything that stood out for you about when that time, when you were first made aware of race, what was interesting about what you and your partner shared? If you would unmute yourself and please be brave and go ahead and share out, please. We'd like to take 2 or 3 before we have to peace out. Anybody share out? Yes, Samuel.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking with Naja, and even though our experience of this was very different, like I realized that it was interesting that we both sort of came to consciousness about racial identity around the same age, around 7 or 8, it sounded like, was a common experience for both of us. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Someone else, in the interest of time, I remember 7 or 8 and same consciousness. Someone else, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
I'm Jim.
Hi, Jim, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't have anyone in my breakout session, but my memory went back to when I was about 2 years old, and just thinking about my experience with a nanny that I had. And it was a very, very good memory. And I don't know, I was just thankful for being able to access that and remember my nanny, whose name was Viola, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Yes.
I'm thankful for her.
Yes. Thank you, Jim, for sharing.
Thanks.
Someone else, one last share out before we go on. Someone else, please. Yes, Cynthia.
Hi, so Beatrice and I didn't get to finish our conversation because we both didn't use Zoom rooms correctly. It's not your fault. But we both commented, we're both white, and we both commented how it was sort of, we could each remember sort of specific instances throughout our childhood where it wasn't a sudden like, oh, this thing doesn't exist and now this thing exists, but it was sort of, we both had sort of early childhood, oh, there is such a thing as race, and then sort of a gradual awareness of, more as we realized that it had wider cultural connotations outside of our own families and outside of our own, personal experiences. So, which as a parent, I will say, I don't think that's what goes on now because my children have been aware of it from a much earlier age. I think it's, more, it's culture, it's discussed more, it's more culturally available, I guess. So in a good way.
Well, it sounds like that you, Cynthia, have been able to evolve that experience as from your childhood and on to your own children. I think probably there are millions of examples still past occurring as they did and new ways of dealing with it. So good that you are in a different way discussing it with your children and bringing it to awareness, or not good, but you know what I'm saying? Like, sounds like you've been able to evolve that.
I think it's also just more and celebrities, I think Beyonce, like, all of the artists that they, I have an older teenager and the artists that she follows, that she's both white and black. They're very aware, Solange, like there's a lot of Solange playing in my house and, my kids really get into that. And I think that at least growing up in the 70s, we didn't have social media and we didn't have, I saw Essence magazine, but that was it,
Yeah. There always have been really, Dorothy Dandridge was the Beyonce of the time. So there have always been those entertainers that we could look at. Now, again, I think everybody's still coming at different places. And if we weren't all coming at it at different places, we wouldn't still be dealing with this Breonna Taylor and these people dying and these people living in separate neighborhoods still and socioeconomic equity and all this kind of stuff. But I so appreciate everybody. So yeah, it's a hot topic and everybody will be sharing if you ever do an activity like this in your community, on your board, in your neighborhood, with your, everybody's what's important, I think, is not about judging where it happened, but letting everybody put it out on the table in a respectful way and let us all walk away with knowing that and how we will move forward and how we continue to dismantle racism within ourselves and within our communities. So with that in mind, it is time. I appreciate you listening to my story and I'm grateful for you. And I hope that you will continue to be brave and allow for many people to bring their perspective to this and move forward and what change we hope to see. We're in a tight place right now in America and on the planet.
Thank you so much for this opening session, Mitzi. All gratitude, I think, from everyone here. I'm seeing lots of people pop into the chat with thank yous. For everyone, there's a few-minute break, and at 1 p.m. We start a panel conversation with artists and activists in Winston-Salem talking about the street mural End Racism Now #BLM. So we're ending this meeting, and you can find the direct link back in the software and join us from there. We'll see you in a few minutes.